Dr. Maya sits quietly in the small observation room, watching the alien girl through the reinforced glass. 3 days have passed since they found her in the ice, and the trembling hasn't stopped. Every few minutes, waves of shaking run through the girl's thin frame, like she's fighting some invisible battle inside her mind. Maya places her hand against the glass, and something strange happens. The moment her palm touches the cold surface, images flash through her head. Not her own memories, but something else entirely. She sees a world with 2 purple suns hanging in a golden sky. Crystal cities that sparkle like diamonds. People who look just like the girl, moving gracefully through floating gardens. Then the vision changes. Darkness spreads across that beautiful world like spilled ink. The crystal cities crack and crumble. The people scream in voices that sound like breaking wind chimes. Maya jerks her hand away from the glass, gasping. The alien girl has stopped. Shaking, she's staring directly at Maya now, her large silver eyes wide with surprise. For the first time since waking up, she doesn't look afraid. She looks hopeful. Dr. Johnson, the head of the research team, walks into the room carrying a tablet full of test results. He's been running every scan imaginable on the girl, trying to figure out what she is and where she came from. Any progress with our guest? He asks, adjusting his thick glasses. Maya hesitates. Should she tell him about the vision, about the strange connection she felt? It sounds impossible. Even to her scientific mind, she responds to me better than the others. Maya says carefully, when I'm in the room, she seems calmer. Johnson nods, making notes on his tablet. Interesting. Maybe it's because you were the first person she saw when she woke up. Some kind of imprinting behavior. But Maya knows it's more than that. Over the next few hours, she conducts simple tests with the girl. When Maya thinks about basic concepts like water, food, or warmth, the girl seems to understand without any words being spoken. It's like she can read Maya's thoughts. Late that night, Maya decides to try something risky. She enters the containment room alone, despite strict orders to always have backup present. The girl looks up from where she sits curled in the corner, her strange clothes shimmering like they're made of liquid metal. Maya sits down slowly, keeping her distance but making sure the girl can see her clearly. She thinks about peaceful things, sunny beaches, gentle rain, her grandmother's garden. The girl's trembling slows down. Then Maya thinks about curiosity, about wanting to understand. She pictures herself and the girl working together, learning from each other. The girl tilts her head, and suddenly Maya feels a warm sensation in her mind, like someone gently touching her thoughts. Images begin to flow between them, but clearer this time. Maya sees the girl's world as it used to be, a place where people didn't need to speak with words, because they could share thoughts and feelings directly. Families, friends, entire communities connected by invisible threads of understanding. The girl shows Maya her name through these shared thoughts. It's not a word but a feeling, like the sound of rain on crystal, mixed with the warmth of morning light. Maya can't pronounce it, so she starts thinking of her as Luna, because her silver eyes remind her of moonlight. Luna shares more memories. Maya experiences what it felt like to live in perfect harmony with others, never feeling alone or misunderstood. But then came the terror, a darkness that fed on fear and loneliness, turning connected beings against each other. Maya feels Luna's panic as her world fell apart, families torn from each other, communities scattered and afraid. The sharing is so intense that Maya doesn't realize she's crying until she tastes salt on her lips. Luna is crying too, silver tears that catch the light like tiny mirrors. Through their connection, Maya understands why Luna trembles so much. Her people need mental connection to survive, like humans need air or water. Without it, they slowly fade away. Luna has been alone for hundreds of years, drifting through space in her crystal pod, keeping herself alive by the thinnest thread of hope that she might find others who could understand. But something unexpected is happening. As Maya opens her mind to Luna's thoughts, she realizes that Luna is also inside her head now, experiencing human memories and emotions. Luna feels Maya's childhood wonder at seeing snow for the first time. She experiences the warmth of Maya's relationship with her sister. She understands human laughter, human tears, human love. The connection works both ways, and it's growing stronger. Maya starts visiting Luna every day, spending hours in silent communication. She learns that Luna's people were explorers and healers, traveling between worlds to help other species grow and learn. They never conquered or destroyed, they only shared knowledge and understanding. But the dark entity that destroyed their world is still out there, moving from planet to planet like a cosmic disease. It feeds on isolation and fear, growing stronger. Wherever beings turn against each other, Luna came to Earth not just to escape, but to warn humanity about what's coming. Through their growing bond, Maya begins to understand the true scope of the threat. The entity doesn't attack with weapons or armies, it whispers in minds, planting seeds of doubt and hatred. It makes people afraid of those who are different. It turns neighbors into enemies and families into strangers. Maya realizes that Luna's trembling isn't just trauma from losing her world. It's a physical response to sensing the entity's presence, like a cosmic early warning system. And the trembling is getting worse, which means the darkness is getting closer to Earth. As their mental connection deepens, Maya starts experiencing strange side effects. Sometimes she catches herself thinking in ways that feel foreign, seeing the world through Luna's perspective. She begins to understand that keeping Luna alive requires more than just friendship or sympathy. It requires a level of mental intimacy that will forever change them both. The question that haunts Maya as she falls asleep each night is whether she's ready for that kind of transformation, because Luna has made it clear through their shared thoughts that to truly help her, to truly prepare Earth for what's coming, Maya will have to let Luna's consciousness merge with her own. And once that happens, there will be no going back to being just human. Maya wakes up screaming at 3 in the morning. Her heart pounds as she sits up in bed, cold sweat covering her skin. The nightmare felt so real, darkness swallowing entire cities, people running in terror, the sky turning black as ink. But it wasn't her nightmare. It was Luna's. Maya rushes to the containment area, her bare feet slapping against the cold metal floors. The security guard looks surprised to see her, but he knows better than to question the lead scientist at this hour. Luna is curled up in the corner of her cell, shaking violently. Her silver eyes are wide with fear, and she's making soft whimpering sounds that break Maya's heart. The moment Maya enters the room, Luna's thoughts flood into her mind. It's coming. The darkness is coming here. Through their mental connection, Maya sees flashes of what Luna is sensing. A massive shadow moving through space, heading straight for Earth. It's not a ship or creature in any normal sense. It's something that exists between dimensions, feeding on the negative emotions of living beings. Maya sits beside Luna, taking her trembling hands. How long do we have? The answer comes not in words but in feelings, weeks, maybe months. But the entity doesn't need to arrive physically to start its work. It can reach across space, planting seeds of fear and hatred in people's minds from far away. Over the next few days, Maya notices disturbing changes at the research station. Arguments break out over small things. People who used to be friends start avoiding each other. Dr. Johnson becomes suspicious of everyone, convinced that someone is trying to steal his research. The kitchen staff complain that others are taking more than their fair share of food. Maya realizes what's happening. The entity's influence is already reaching Earth, starting with those closest to Luna. It feeds on negative emotions, and it's turning the research team against each other. She tries to warn Dr. Johnson, but he won't listen. He's become obsessed with studying Luna as a potential weapon, convinced that her mental abilities could be used for military purposes. He contacts the outside world, requesting additional security and containment equipment. That's when Colonel Blake arrives with a team of soldiers. Blake is a stern man with gray hair and cold blue eyes. He looks at Luna like she's a dangerous animal that needs to be caged. His first order is to separate Maya from Luna completely. This creature has clearly affected your judgment, Doctor. Blake says, his voice sharp as ice. You've become too emotionally involved. We need objective analysis, not feelings. Maya tries to explain about the connection, about the warning Luna is trying to give them. But Blake dismisses her concerns. He has Luna moved to a new facility deep underground, surrounded by thick walls and electronic barriers designed to block any form of communication. The separation is agony for both of them. Maya feels like part of her mind has been ripped away. She can barely think straight, and simple tasks become impossibly difficult. Meanwhile, Luna's condition worsens rapidly. Without the mental connection, she starts fading like a flower cut from its roots. But even through the barriers, Maya can still sense Luna's thoughts occasionally, like whispers carried on the wind. The entity is getting closer, and its influence is spreading beyond the research station. Maya starts monitoring news reports from around the world. Conflicts are breaking out in places that used to be peaceful. Long-standing alliances are crumbling over petty disagreements. Social media is filled with anger and hatred. People are becoming afraid of their neighbors, suspicious of anyone who looks or thinks differently. The entity doesn't need weapons or armies. It simply amplifies the worst parts of human nature: fear, jealousy, hatred, mistrust. It makes people forget how to work together, how to care for each other. Maya tries to convince Blake that Luna isn't the threat. She's trying to help them prepare for the real danger. But Blake has been affected by the entity's influence too. He sees enemies everywhere, trusts no one, believes that force and isolation are the only ways to stay safe. Late one night, Maya breaks into the underground facility. The security systems have been designed to keep Luna in, not to keep determined scientists out. She finds Luna barely conscious, her silver skin now pale and gray. The isolation is killing her slowly. Maya holds Luna's hand, and their connection sparks back to life like electricity jumping between wires. Luna's thoughts are weak but urgent. The entity has found them. It's been using Luna's own psychic trail like a beacon, following her path through space straight to Earth, through their shared vision. Maya sees the truth. Luna didn't come to Earth by accident. She came here on purpose, hoping to find a species strong enough to resist the entity's influence. Her people were too connected, too unified. When the entity broke those connections, they couldn't survive alone. But humans are different. Humans have always been individuals first, connected second. They're used to standing alone when they have to. That independence might be humanity's greatest weakness, but it could also be their greatest strength against an enemy that feeds on breaking bonds between people. Luna shows Maya images of other worlds the entity has consumed. Beautiful civilizations reduced to empty planets where the survivors hide in caves, too afraid to trust anyone. But there were a few species that fought back successfully. They did it not through violence or technology, but through something much simpler, by choosing to trust each other even when everything told them not to. The entity can plant seeds of fear and hatred, but it can't force people to act on those feelings. The choice to love or hate, to trust or fear, to help or hurt, that choice still belongs to each individual. Maya realizes what they have to do. They can't defeat this enemy with guns or bombs. They have to defeat it by refusing to let it turn humanity against itself. They have to choose connection over isolation, understanding over fear, love over hatred. But first, they have to escape from Blake and his soldiers, who are planning to dissect Luna to learn her secrets, and they have to do it before the entity arrives in full force, turning Earth into another dead world floating in the darkness of space. The clock is ticking, and humanity's future hangs in the balance. Maya helps Luna sit up against the cold metal wall of the underground cell. Luna's breathing is shallow, and her silver skin has turned almost transparent. Time is running out for both of them. "Show me everything," Maya whispers, pressing her forehead against Luna's. "I need to understand what really happened to your people." The connection between them flares to life, stronger than ever before. Maya's vision goes white, then slowly fills with images of Luna's homeworld as it used to be, a paradise, where millions of beings lived in perfect harmony. The Scifi didn't just share thoughts occasionally like Maya and Luna did. Their entire civilization was built on constant mental connection. Families shared dreams. Communities made decisions together without speaking a single word. Children learn by directly experiencing their parents' memories. Maya feels what it was like to never be truly alone, to always have the warm presence of loved ones in your mind. It was beautiful, but it also made them vulnerable in ways they never imagined. The cosmic entity had been drifting through space for millions of years, feeding on fear and loneliness wherever it found them. When it discovered the Zelthari homeworld, it saw something it had never encountered before, a species so connected. That individual fear barely existed, but the entity was clever. It didn't attack the connections directly. Instead, it found the few Zelthari who live on the edges of society. Researchers working alone in remote stations, explorers separated from their families. It whispered to them first, planting tiny seeds of doubt. Maya experiences the horror through Luna's inherited memories. She feels the moment when the first infected Zelthari returned home, carrying the entity's poison in their minds. The doubt spread like a disease through the mental network that connected everyone. Suddenly, Zelthari who had shared thoughts for centuries began to question each other. Parents stopped trusting their children. Friends became suspicious of friends. The beautiful mental connections that had made their civilization possible became highways for fear and paranoia. Within months, the network collapsed completely. Millions of beings who had never experienced true loneliness suddenly found themselves cut off from everyone they loved. Most of them simply died from the shock. Others went insane from the isolation. Luna shows Maya the final days of her world. Cities stood empty as survivors hid in caves and abandoned buildings, too afraid to reach out to anyone. The few who tried to rebuild the connections found that the entity's influence had made trust impossible. That's why you came to Earth. Maya realizes, her voice barely a whisper, you weren't just running away. You were looking for help. Luna's thoughts flow into Maya's mind like warm honey. The Zelthari had studied many species before their world fell. They knew that humans were different, individuals, who chose to connect rather than beings who were naturally connected. This difference, they believed, might make humans immune to the entity's primary method of attack. But Luna carries something else inside her mind, something that makes her infinitely precious and incredibly dangerous. She holds the complete knowledge and memory of her entire species, every scientific discovery, every piece of art, every moment of beauty for millions of years of Zelthari civilization exists within her. Consciousness, she is, quite literally, the last living library of an entire race. Maya understands now why Luna's trembling has been getting worse. The entity isn't just following her trail through space. It's being drawn by the psychic energy of all those stored memories. Luna is like a beacon that the entity cannot ignore. You have to pass it on, Maya says, the realization hitting her. Like a physical blow, all that knowledge, all those memories, you need to give them to someone else before the entity arrives. Luna's silver eyes fill with tears that sparkle like starlight. She shows Maya what the process would involve. To receive the complete consciousness of an entire species, Maya would have to open her mind completely. She would experience every joy and every sorrow of billions of beings who lived and died on a world she's never seen. The process might destroy her human identity entirely. She might lose herself in the vast ocean of alien memories and thoughts. Or she might survive the transfer but be forever changed, no longer fully human or fully Zelthari. Maya thinks about her sister back on Earth, about her colleagues, about all the people she's never met who are going about their daily lives, while a cosmic nightmare approaches their world. She thinks about the children playing in schoolyards who have no idea that their planet's fate might depend on one scientist's willingness to sacrifice her humanity through their connection. Luna shares one more terrible truth. The entity is already here. It arrived 3 days ago, invisible and patient, spreading its influence like ripples in a pond. The arguments at the research station were just the beginning. Soon, the fear and hatred will spread to nearby cities, then countries, then across the entire world, unless someone can warn humanity about what's really happening. Unless someone can teach them how the Zelthari failed and how humans might succeed. Where they could not, Maya looks into Luna's fading eyes and makes her choice. She places both hands on Luna's face and opens her mind as wide as she can. I'm ready. She whispers, show me how to save our worlds. The transfer begins slowly, like a gentle rain that gradually becomes a flood. Maya feels Luna's consciousness flowing into her own, bringing with it the weight of an entire civilization's hopes and dreams. The pain is incredible, but so is the beauty. She experiences the birth of stars through Zelthury eyes, feels the love between parents and children who shared thoughts as easily as humans share breath. But along with the knowledge comes the responsibility. Every memory she receives is a treasure that must be preserved, a lesson that must be learned, a gift that must be shared with humanity before it's too late. As Luna's physical form begins to fade, her consciousness settling deep into Maya's mind, the human scientist realizes that she's no longer fighting just for Earth. She's fighting for two worlds, two species, and the idea that love and understanding can triumph over fear and isolation. The real battle is about to begin. Maya's scream echoes through the underground facility as Luna's consciousness merges completely with her own. For a moment that feels like eternity, she experiences the death of an entire world through the eyes of its survivors. The grief is so overwhelming that her heart nearly stops. But then something extraordinary happens. Instead of drowning in the alien memories, Maya finds herself floating on them like a life raft in an ocean of stars. Luna's consciousness doesn't replace her human thoughts, it weaves through them, creating something entirely new. Maya sees through two sets of eyes now. She understands quantum physics through Zelthury mathematics, but she also knows how to make her grandmother's soup. She can feel the pull of distant galaxies, but she still remembers the smell of rain on summer afternoons back home. Luna's physical form dissolves into particles of light that fade like morning mist, but her voice remains in Maya's mind, warm and comforting like a best friend who will never leave. We are one now. Luna's thoughts whisper inside Maya's consciousness. But you are still you, and I am still me. We are stronger together. Maya stands up on shaking legs. The alarms in the facility have been blaring for hours, but she barely noticed them during the transfer. Through the security cameras, she can see Colonel Blake and his soldiers searching every room, looking for her. But Maya isn't afraid anymore. Through Luna's memories, she now understands exactly how to defeat the cosmic entity that threatens both their worlds. The entity feeds on isolation and fear, growing stronger when beings turn against each other. But it has one critical weakness. It cannot consume love that is freely given, trust that is consciously chosen, or connections that are built on understanding rather than need. Maya reaches out with her enhanced consciousness and touches the minds of everyone in the facility. She doesn't force her way in like the entity does. Instead, she offers gentle contact, like knocking softly on a door and waiting to be invited inside. Dr. Johnson is the first to respond. He's been hiding in his laboratory, convinced that everyone is plotting against him. But when Maya's consciousness brushes against his, he suddenly remembers why he became a scientist in the first place: to help humanity understand its place in the universe. The fog of suspicion lifts from his mind like clouds parting after a storm. One by one, Maya reaches out to the others. The kitchen staff stop hoarding food and start sharing again. The security guards remember that they're supposed to protect people, not control them. Even some of Blake's soldiers begin to question their orders to treat Maya as an enemy. But Blake himself resists Maya's gentle touch. The entity's influence has taken root too deeply in his mind, feeding on his natural tendency to see threats everywhere. He finds Maya in the underground corridor, pointing a weapon at her with shaking hands. "Stay back," he shouts. "I know what you are now. You're not human anymore. You're one of them." Maya looks at him with both human compassion and Zelthury wisdom. "You're right," she says calmly. "I'm not entirely human anymore. But I'm not your enemy, Colonel. The real enemy is the thing that's been whispering in your mind, making you afraid of everyone around you." Blake's finger tightens on the trigger, but Maya doesn't move. Instead, she opens her consciousness wider, projecting not thoughts but feelings, the love she has for her sister, the joy she felt when she first looked through a telescope as a child, the wonder of discovering that life exists beyond Earth. For just a moment, Blake's fear wavers. In that tiny gap, Maya's influence slips through, and he remembers what it felt like to be a young soldier who joined the military to protect people, not to frighten them. Blake lowers his weapon, tears streaming down his face. "What have I been doing?" he whispers. Maya places a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You've been afraid. We all have. But fear doesn't have to control us unless we let it." Over the next few hours, Maya works to free everyone in the facility from the entity's influence. It's exhausting work that requires her to maintain dozens of mental connections simultaneously. But Luna's consciousness helps her manage the load. Through their combined awareness, Maya can sense the entity's true form for the first time. It's massive beyond imagination, a living shadow that exists partially in normal space and partially in the realm of pure thought. It has been feeding on Earth's growing divisions for weeks, growing stronger as people become more afraid and angry. But Maya also senses something the entity doesn't expect: resistance. All around the world, small groups of people are reaching out to each other, choosing connection over isolation. A family in Tokyo comforts their neighbors during a blackout. Strangers in New York help each other when transportation breaks down. Children in schools stand up for classmates who are being bullied. Each act of kindness, each moment of understanding, each choice to trust rather than fear creates a tiny light in the darkness. The entity cannot feed on these lights. In fact, they seem to cause it pain. Maya realizes what she needs to do. Using the facility's communication equipment, she begins broadcasting on every available channel: radio, television, internet, emergency frequencies. Her message is simple but powerful. "This is Dr. Maya Chen speaking from Research Station Vostok 7. I need everyone who can hear this to listen carefully. Our planet is under attack, but not in the way you might think. The enemy doesn't have ships or weapons. It feeds on fear and hatred and loneliness. It grows stronger when we turn against each other and weaker when we choose to care for one another." Her voice carries both human warmth and alien wisdom, reaching people on levels they don't fully understand. Around the world, those who hear her message feel a strange comfort, as if a friend they've never met is reassuring them that everything will be okay right now. You might be feeling scared or angry or suspicious of the people around you. Maya continues, "Those feelings aren't entirely your own. Something is amplifying the worst parts of human nature, trying to make us forget how to work together, but we don't have to let it win." Maya shares Luna's knowledge through the broadcast, not as complex scientific data, but as simple truths that anyone can understand. She explains how fear spreads like a virus, but love spreads faster. She tells people that the strange arguments and conflicts they've been having aren't their fault, but how they respond to those feelings is their choice. Most importantly, she teaches them how to recognize the entity's influence and resist it, not through violence or force, but through the simple act of reaching out to someone else with genuine care and understanding. The broadcast continues for hours, reaching billions of people across the globe. Some dismiss it as the ravings of a disturbed scientist, but many others feel the truth in Maya's words and begin to act on them. In hospitals, doctors and nurses who have been at each other's throats suddenly remember why they chose to heal people. In schools, teachers reach out to students they had written off as troublemakers. In offices and factories and homes, people who had been growing suspicious of their colleagues and neighbors begin to have real conversations again. Each connection made, each moment of understanding shared, each act of kindness chosen over cruelty creates another point of light in the growing network of human consciousness. And slowly, impossibly, the entity begins to weaken. Maya feels it happening through her enhanced awareness. The cosmic shadow that had been growing stronger by feeding on human division suddenly finds itself starving. It lashes out in desperation, trying to create new conflicts and fears. But more and more people are choosing love over hatred, trust over suspicion. The entity realizes it has made a critical mistake. By following Luna to Earth, it chose to attack a species that it didn't fully understand. Humans aren't like the Zelthri. Who needed constant connection to survive? Humans are independent enough to stand alone when they have to, but social enough to choose connection when they want to. And when humans choose to care for each other, their combined strength is greater than the sum of their parts. Maya watches through satellite feeds as the entity begins to retreat, pulling back from Earth's atmosphere like a tide going out. It's not destroyed. Beings like this can't be killed in any conventional sense, but it's been defeated, forced to seek easier prey among species that haven't learned to resist its influence. As the immediate danger passes, Maya sits quietly in the communications room, feeling Luna's presence like a warm glow in her mind. She's changed forever, no longer fully human, but not alien either. She's something new, a bridge between two worlds and two ways of thinking. Dr. Johnson finds her there as the sun rises over the Antarctic ice. What happens now? He asks. Maya smiles with both human lips and alien wisdom. Now we learn, Lunas. People spent millions of years exploring the universe, gathering knowledge about life and consciousness and the connections between all living things. That knowledge is part of me now, and I need to share it with humanity. She looks out at the dawn sky, knowing that similar scenes are playing out across the globe as people wake up to a world that feels somehow different, more hopeful, more connected, more aware of the invisible threads that bind all life together. The entity will be back someday, Maya continues. Maybe not in our lifetime, but eventually. When it returns, humanity will be ready. We'll teach our children how to recognize fear that isn't their own, how to choose love when everything,